Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to episode 65 of Open Crypto, where we keep you informed on a bi-daily basis. If you're interested in keeping fully up to date on all things crypto, then subscribe to the channel. We put out a new video every 12 hours. So this evening's article is from Cointelegraph's The Future of Money, and it's written by Braden Lindria, and it's titled Nigeria Set to Pass Bill Recognizing Bitcoin and Cryptocurrencies. The slated law comes as Nigeria's e-naira has only managed to obtain a 0.5% adoption rate a little more than a year after its launch in October 2021. Nigeria's had loads of currency problems with big issues with inflation in the last few years. The Nigerian government will reportedly soon pass a law that will recognise the usage of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies as a means to keep up to date with global practices. The news was reported by Nigerian-based masthead Punch newspapers on December the 18th following an interview with House of Representatives Committee on Capital Markets Chairman Babangida Ibrahim. The report stated that if the Investments and Securities Act of 2007 Amendment Bill is signed into law, it would allow the local SEC to recognise cryptocurrency and other digital funds as capital for investment. So it's basically legalizing it and saying that it's fair game, that you can invest in it just as you would a stock or a share. Ibrahim stressed the need for Nigeria to keep up to date with trends and developments in capital markets. Like I said earlier, during the second reading, we need an efficient and vibrant capital market in Nigeria. For us to do that, we have to be up to date with global practices, and I totally agree. I couldn't agree more with this. The report comes almost 24 months after Nigeria banned crypto activity in February 2021, with the Central Bank of Nigeria ordering Nigerian crypto exchanges and service providers to cease activity and mandating banks to shutter the accounts of any individuals or entities found to be engaging in trading activities. And this is just so cliche. It's just so cliche, is this, where governments come in, they don't understand crypto fully, they ban it, or they ban certain on-ramps and off-ramps, either trading, leverage trading. If you saw my video yesterday about Canada, banning leverage trading and margin trading. But once they learn about it, they realise it is unstoppable. It cannot be stopped. So if it can't be stopped, you really have no choice but to embrace it. And we're talking about the internet. This is a native a currency that's native to the internet, and everybody knows that internet, computers, robotics, AI is the future. There's just no way around that. There's no world where artificial intelligence doesn't exist, robotics don't exist, crypto doesn't exist. It's just coming, because of we are in the age of the internet, and this is Bitcoin. Really, is the first native currency to the internet. And so countries are just realizing this, and remember, like I've said before, that countries don't have competition with their currencies. So if you're using the naira in Nigeria, the government there can do whatever they want with the naira. They don't need to ask permission. They are the law. They are the government. They're in power, so they basically do what they want. As long as it's politically palatable and they can get away with it, they will do, and they can do. And it's not specific to Nigeria. This is all over. This is in the UK, the US, everywhere. So it's not something that governments are used to. They are not used to competing with anybody. They have the monopoly in any nation. And so now that Bitcoin has showed up, it's just so difficult for them to. It's not just difficult for them to stop. It's impossible for them to stop. But it's difficult for them to even get their heads around and understand, what is this thing? What is this thing that people are saying it's unstoppable? How can it be unstoppable? We're the government. We can stop anything if we choose to. If we really want to, we can stop anything if we're the government. And for this is really the first time where they just can't. It's just not. It's mathematically impossible. Well, it's just impossible. So this is a really alien idea. It's an alien concept for governments to try and understand this notion where they are not the monopoly anymore when it comes to currencies. And really, currency is what I think that the future will be, is what people choose to use and not what they're forced to use. If you live in the UK, you are forced to use the pound to trade. Well, you're not forced to use the pound to trade in, but it's just the most used currency, obviously. But you are forced to pay your taxes in pounds, and in the US you are forced to pay your taxes in dollars. So that means that you have to have a need. There is a need. It's an artificial need because it's created by the government, but you have to have dollars because you have to pay your tax bill, otherwise you go to prison. So they make sure that you use that currency. You have no choice but to use it because you have to pay your taxes in it. Whereas now, people, as far as the transacting with each other's side, they can now transact in Bitcoin, and they don't have to transact in the Niger or the pound or the dollar. They've got choice for the first time ever. Let's get back into it anyway. Just a few thoughts there. But Ibrahim, who served as Nigeria's president between 1985 and 1993, insists that the passing of the law isn't a 180-degree turn on the ban, but rather a secondary review of what is within the scope of the CBN's powers. It's not about lifting of the ban. We are looking at the legality, what is legal and what is within the framework of our operations in Nigeria. When cryptocurrency was initially banned in Nigeria, the CBN discovered that most of these investors don't even use local accounts. So they are not within the jurisdiction of the CBN because they are not using local accounts. There is no way the CBN can check them, he explained. If the law passes, amendments will be made to Nigeria's Investments and Securities Act 2007. In addition to the assignment of legal recognition to Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, the law will outline the regulatory roles of the Central Bank of Nigeria and Nigeria's SEC on matters relating to digital currencies, the report said. The law also comes as Nigerians have also shown little to no interest in Nigeria's central bank digital currency, the naira, which had only obtained a 0.5% adoption rate in October, 12 months after its launch. Well, why would anybody want to use a CBDC, these central bank digital? Well, who's going to want to use that? I mean, it's worse than what we've got now. It's not an improvement. It just gives them more. It just gives the government more control over what you spend, and what you don't, and what you're allowed to spend your money on, and what you're not allowed to spend your money on. So who wants to use that? Nobody. So it's no surprise that it's got such a horrible adoption rate. Just 12 months after its launch. Nobody wants these CBDCs because they don't make things better. The world wants better technology and better things to improve the quality of life, and if something doesn't, then they just sack it, like they've done with this. So the Nigerian government's efforts to crack down on crypto activity earlier on were arguably ineffective too, as adoption continued to increase following the ban in February 2021. From January to August last year, Nigerians only trailed the United States in Bitcoin trading volume, and over the same period, Nigerians were more likely to Google Bitcoin than citizens of any other country. Nigerian residents were also found to be the most crypto-curious nation, according to an April research study conducted by CoinGecko. The curiosity comes as no surprise as Nigerians continue to look to fight off rampant inflation and economic malaise. And this is another thing is that if you are living, let's say you're living in Nigeria and you are using the naira to buy your groceries and do whatever you need to do and pay your bills. You're earning in the local local currency, which is the naira, and the government are messing around with this currency by inflating it, by printing more. There's corruption. I believe corruption's rife there. So it's just by using it, you are kind of participating in this silly game where you're the loser. You don't get really much choice. Whereas when you use Bitcoin, or when you bought some Bitcoin, if you start using Bitcoin, even though crypto is, famously or infamously volatile, it can be up one day and down the next day by 10 or 15%. for some of these currencies like the naira or the Lebanese pound or the Venezuelan bolivar that have had such ridiculous inflation rates over the last 2 or 3 years, Bitcoin actually and crypto looks quite chilled. When you compare it to some of the other currencies that have done really poorly, and so it becomes a bit of a stable thing, and the government can't take it off you, and if you're clever about it, you can even make sure that you get your crypto and the government won't even know that you've got it, so they can't even, so not only is it unconfiscatable, but it's difficult to know that you even have it to confiscate off you, which is another great thing about crypto. It really is free. It really does represent freedom, financial freedom. So Nigeria has also recently entered into the early stage discussions with crypto exchange Binance in September to develop a crypto-friendly economic zone that will aim to support crypto and blockchain-related businesses in the region. So that's that episode, and I think we're going to see what you would generally see as like poor countries like Nigeria, if they adopt this technology early and they get in on it, and while Bitcoin's worth $15,000, $16,000, $17,000, if Bitcoin goes up to something ridiculous, which I think it will, then they could end up turning out to be some of the richest countries in the world that have got into this early and that have embraced this technology and that have got the regulation, because it's not just about buying it and then price goes up and you get rich. It's not that. It's by getting legislation and by passing regulations in Nigeria today, it means that, early, as opposed to countries, like somewhere like the US where they don't have any regulation yet. It attracts crypto businesses because they know what the rules are. If you've got regulation in your country, then even if it's poor regulation, even if it's bad, at least it's something. At least you know that when you do business there, what you can be prosecuted for, what you can't be prosecuted for. You know already what the game is. You know the rules of the game before you play. Whereas if you do that in America, you don't know what's going to happen, because they could pass a law tomorrow that says that you've been breaking the law for the last 5 years and you didn't even know about it. So it attracts commerce and it attracts businesses when they do things like this early. So that's what I've got for you this evening. Thank you for listening and watching. Remember everybody, but to please subscribe to the channel, join our team, and we'll keep you updated on all things crypto every 12 hours. Smash the like button if you feel you've got some value from this video, and I'll see you all in 12 hours time.